Lord Chaitanya decided to take sannyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Ambika Kalna to say goodbye to him. And it's a very moving description of the emotions that Gauridas Pandit felt when he heard that Lord Chaitanya was about to leave and take sannyas. And we'll read that a little bit later in the context of the class. But one pastime that comes to mind is that, again, because of his intense attachment to Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, Gauridas Pandit, by his desire, induced Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda to duplicate themselves in a deity form that looked exactly like Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. That happened spontaneously in the house of Gauridas Pandit, so that there were two, Lord Nityananda and Nityananda, all of a sudden, Chaitanya and Nityananda, all of a sudden there were four, right, standing in front of Gauridas Pandit. Two pairs of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And it's described that he couldn't tell who was who. Lord Chaitanya said, well, look, these deities are no different from us. You can keep these deities here. And in this way you'll always have our association. So he very happily cooked for them, it's described. He offered the bhoga to all four. Two Lord Chaitanyas and two Lord Nityanandas. In this way the Shastras describe how Gauridas Pandit spent his whole life cooking and worshipping these deities of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. And at one point he was becoming a little tired and old, and it's described that Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda in their deity form spoke to him and said, please, we cannot bear to see you working so hard to serve us. And so Gauridas Pandit replied, I'll cook anything you want. If you don't want to eat what I'm cooking today, I'll cook something else. What would you like to eat? And so they told him again, no, just please don't extend yourself so hard physically. So he promised him, okay, from now on I'll just cook some shak, and I'll put it on a plate, a banana leaf plate, for your pleasure. So it describes that Gauridas laughed and embraced him. And this way there's not enough time, but there's plenty of beautiful pastimes of Gauridas Pandit and how he had this intense relationship with Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. At one point, during a festival, one of his main disciples was Hridaya Chaitanya. There's a whole other story how Hridaya Chaitanya got that name, because that particular set of Gaurnitai entered into the heart of, his name used to be Chaitanya Das, and then Gauridas Pandit called him out, now your name is Hridaya Chaitanya, because Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya has entered into your heart. But the deities left the altar. So it's described Gauridas Pandit came with a club and went to where the Sankirtan festival was going on, and where those particular deities of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda were dancing. And with a club, he threatened them. And then it's described that the deities disappeared, went back on the altar. So Gauridas Pandit, he is Subal Saka in the spiritual world. In Goloka Vrindavan, he's one of the intimate Gopa associates of Krishna, Subal Saka. So we beg his blessings. Today is also the disappearance of Rupa Goswami. What can be said about Rupa Goswami? What cannot be said about Rupa Goswami? Namo Mahavada Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yeda Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadamikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada was established within this material world, the mission to establish Lord Chaitanya's wish, grant me shelter at his lotus feet. Speaking of lotus feet of Rupa Goswami, there's this famous song by Narottam Das Thakur in which he praised the lotus feet of Rupa Manjari. Just as Gauridas Pandit is Subal Saka in the spiritual world, so similarly it's described that Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari, one of the intimate associates of Srimati Radharani. And so Narottam Das Thakur praised that song. The lotus feet of Rupa Goswami or Rupa Manjari are my everything. They're my everything. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, beautiful song. It's appropriate to speak about Rupa Goswami today, especially in the context of today's verse, where the whole issue of personalism versus impersonalism is brought up. Rupa Goswami is accepted as the Rasacharya, the personality in the Gaudiya line who is responsible, who represents the whole theology of rasa tattva. And rasa tattva is really what distinguishes us from Mayavad philosophy, right? An individual soul has a swarup, an eternal relationship with Krishna, an individual personal relationship in one of the different 5 rasas which were systematically delineated and explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. So, Rupa Goswami. It's a great day, very special day, and it's in our benefit. It's in our benefit, all of us, to really meditate on Rupa Goswami today as much as possible. On Sankirtan, for example, on Bhakti Shri Vishnu, you can chant Vande Rupa Sanatana Rupa Shri Rupa. As you go from one person to the other, when you chant your japa, you can write Rupa Goswami's name on a piece of paper, or Gauridas Pandit's name on a piece of paper. They're not different from their name, because they're absolute Parshat spiritual personalities, so they're right there in their name. Meditate on them like that. Gauridas Pandit ki Rupa Goswami ki. So now on to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So continuing with the conversation between Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Lord Chaitanya, this is verse 267 and 268 of Madhya Lila, Chapter 6, the liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So I'll read 267 and the translation, and then together we can read 268. Salokyaricharya dihaya sevadvar tamukadachit bhaktakare andika. So this is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya speaking. If there is a chance to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a pure devotee sometimes accepts Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, or Sarshti forms of liberation, but never Sayukya. And that takes